Hi, I'm Tina.
I'm Renee, and welcome to a safe place.
We'll one day sort our intro out.
And while you're here, press the subscribe button just underneath so that you can watch or get all future updates.
Absolutely, great idea. Renee and I talk a little bit about what we're going to talk about before we film, and like I've said before, we never stick with our plan. But something that is significant to trauma, Renee, I think, is fear, and the fear that being a survivor of trauma, for want of a better word, because I really don't like that word survivor. I've got issues with it. It's a trigger, maybe. Is that when we're recovering and when we're on that process of healing, there are little things that happen that just cause us to stop, pause, and we feel moments of fear. Have you had moments like that, Renee?
Are you being a smart aleck?
No, I'm being dead serious.
Because she's having a go at me.
I'm really not having a go. She always thinks I'm having a go. I'm not having a go.
I've tried 3 times to tell my story, and we're going to tell your story instead. How's that sound?
Okay, well, I can do that.
Can you?
Yeah. Yeah, I can.
Really?
Yeah, I really can.
I'm going to ask you questions that will actually help you tell your story.
Okay, that's fine. Look at you.
Sorry.
She thinks she's getting me back for something. Don't know what's going on with her fear and control at the moment. She needs to own it, but I'm happy to share my story.
By the way, our channel is about helping
people move through their own stories and own their own stories and heal from their traumas and their things that are yuck.
You have gotten good at telling your story, actually, because you've written a blog for a long time.
But not only that, I started as a teacher in 1993, and I was teaching in a difficult school, and always have taught in difficult schools. And I've done a lot of referrals through the child protection legislation that are mandatory for teachers. And in kids sharing their stories, we end up sharing parts of ours that are appropriate and relevant to let them know that there's hope.
Oh, yeah.
And so I've been sharing my story
with kids
broadly for like over 25 years now. And then I started a blog when I was going through IVF. Want to talk about impact of sexual abuse in childhood. And so I'm very used to telling my story. And I think that's why I believe it's so important to tell stories, because it enables us to own it and move through it and move beyond it. But I know that there are moments of fear.
Have you just debated telling your story?
No, what would you like to know? You said you were going to ask me questions that made me tell my story, so I'm waiting for the control from you to start.
Is that a symptom, not a symptom, an impact of trauma, being controlling?
I think so, because we'd had no control. I had no control. So, good question or good comment. I grew up in a home that was very dysfunctional. My mum and dad, they loved us.
My
take
arm
note,
is hurting.
Renee. Oh, really? Oh, I love this.
Ow. Okay.
There was a lot of dysfunction at home. Mum and Dad was working really long hours. He was the provider. This was the early 70s, mid 70s. And so he was very tired. Mum was staying at home with 3 young girls. Dad would come home very tired and angry. There was a lot of domestic violence from both people, not just Dad to Mum, but both ways, for a variety of reasons, which I don't need to go into. That's their business. Even though part of my journey was resolving their reasons so that I could understand better about my own context. And as a result of there being domestic violence, I witnessed a lot of violence, but I also endured a lot of violence because what did you do? You didn't spare the rod to spoil the child or something? What's that saying? Anyway.
Is that because of a Jehovah's Witnessing? No.
No, this was well pre-JW days for Mum. It's just a dysfunction thing of people living when they're not living true to their values, they're not living a happy life, and things fall apart. And I'm very grateful for that now, because I've learned that lesson through them and through my own self. I'm evading in a way, aren't I?
You are. You haven't even told your story.
All right. So basically, Mum and Dad used to smack us, and when I say smack, it was with a belt, with anything that was within arm's reach. And though we weren't bad kids, the little things, we'd like not cleaning your room and small things. I used to get hit for for my sisters doing bad things, because I was the oldest and I should have been responsible and looked out for them better. I was also sexually abused by 3 different perpetrators.
3.
3, yeah. Did you not know that?
I knew that.
Oh, okay,
but I'm just repeating for emphasis, which is an expression Jehovah's Witnesses are very familiar with when they do their speeches. Repetition for emphasis.
Absolutely. And
sorry, I'm not mocking. Right. I'm not mocking, obviously.
I know that. God, we're a safe place for each other. So yeah, and a safe place now for all of you.
Welcome to a safe place. If you want to comment or share any of your stories,
do that.
Please
underneath.
do so. And
if you want us to address something specific, we're happy to do that. Like, we've got pages of notes for millions of videos. But
we're not saying we're experts.
No, but we are experts in our own trauma.
In our stories.
In our stories, we are experts. I do have some qualifications behind me because my life's journey has been...
Sorry, keep going.
Has been trying to understand this and trying to move forward from it and not let it impact the entirety of my life in a negative way. So that's why I've been telling my story for a long time. I moved out of home when I was 16 because Dad had he was angry and had hit me, and it was quite bad, and it was time for me to get out. I ended up staying in a friend's caravan, thank you to the White family. Forever grateful for that 3 or 4 months away from my own environment at home. And from there I finished year 12 and went to uni, escaped to Bathurst for 4 years, and then came back and started teaching.
There's a lot more trauma in there.
Well,
You've missed big bits.
Talk to me about it, because that's the nutshell of my story, and we're already at 6 minutes. We'll do, the next video will be about my story too. Stop it.
No.
Seriously, because that's too long. We're stopping it, and I'll come back and talk more. Renee will ask me questions about my story.
You're trying to control it.
As did you. Go.
Bye. Don't forget to subscribe.